In this country, it appears that men have lost interest in women. They have all abandoned their wives and left their homes, actively avoiding any interaction with the opposite sex. One fateful day, a stunning socialite pays a visit to a gynecologist. Fully prepared for her examination, she undresses with anticipation. However, to her surprise, the doctor pays no attention to her and becomes fixated on a can that sits before him. Afterward, he retrieves a slice of bread, carefully spreading the can's contents onto it. Next, he grabs a bottle of champagne, indulging in a feast all by himself, completely disregarding the naked socialite. But then, to everyone's surprise, the doctor pushes open the door and exits, leaving the socialite stranded in the clinic. Just as the doctor steps outside, he encounters a pregnant woman seeking directions. However, the doctor not only refuses to guide her, but also unleashes a barrage of verbal abuse.
Alors m'emmerdez pas, c'est tout ce que je vous demande!
He shouts, proclaiming that he wants nothing to do with women for the rest of his life. In a surprising turn of events, another man named Ryder appears on the scene. The woman hopes Ryder will bring about justice and fairness. I only asked for directions, but she ended up hurling insults at me, she explains. To her dismay, Ryder's response is even more severe as he joins in berating the woman. Who do you think you are? Asking him for directions, he scolds. Can't you see he's already exhausted? In this country, guys can't stand women. A woman innocently asks for directions, and two dudes respond by straight up cursing her out, like they've found their soulmates or something. They playfully rag on each other about their disdain for women. And the more they talk, the more they feel like they've known each other forever. Eventually deciding to hop on a train and ditch women for good. The train is filled with men, two of them enjoying a delicious meal and sipping on red wine. They enthusiastically daydreamt, while their wives become anxious after realizing their disappearance and desperately attempt to find them. Women always expect us men to fulfill our obligations, without caring about our well-being. Just the thought of being able to escape from their own wives has the doctor and Ryder unable to contain their happiness. They arrived in a small town, breathing in the air of freedom and enjoying a carefree life without women. They even popped open a bottle of champagne to celebrate and settled down in the town. Two guys make a daring escape from domestic life, leaving their wives in the dust, chasing after their own happiness. Every day, they team up in the kitchen, feeding each other bites of delicious food, and then they bask in the sun on their doorstep, living carefree and easy. In the middle of the night, Ryder suddenly wakes up in a fright, shaking with fear. Turns out, he dreamt that his wife came looking for him, constantly demanding things from him. The doctor comforts him, assuring him that they have escaped the interference of women. To cure Ryder, the doctor sets an alarm and wakes him up in the middle of the night. Preparing a lavish feast, they indulge in hearty food and drink, raising their glasses to celebrate their newfound freedom. They also met two pastors from the small town, and the four of them had dinner together, enjoying roasted chicken and red wine, while passionately condemning the crimes of women. As they were happily chatting and drinking, a heavy rain started outside, accompanied by strange sounds, prompting them to quickly go out and investigate. These men all despise women. One of the pastor's disciples is being seduced by a woman. The pastor shouts to stop them, and then grabs the disciple and brings him back. The pastor slaps the disciple in the face, warning him to cherish his life and stay away from women. Women are like raging beasts, only capable of tormenting men. The disciple made a promise to never be swayed by women again. The four men started sharing stories of the painful torment they endured from women, hoping the disciple would take it to heart. The doctor and Ryder, completely drunk, returned to their place, mumbling as they collapsed onto the bed. Another day without women. And boy, it felt so darn comfortable. These two men, avoiding the company of women, decided to run away from home. As they lay down, exhausted, they suddenly realized their seductive wives were lying right beside them. Turns out, their wives had quietly found them. Oh my God, the wives are here. It's terrifying. The two of them got scared shitless and ran, ignoring the pouring rain, sprinting back to the pastor's house. The pastor sure had guts to intervene. Ignoring the pouring rain outside, he stumbled out, completely intoxicated, got smacked by a pole, and hastily fell face first into the mud like a clumsy dog. The pastor urged the wives to have mercy and let the two men go, but the wives didn't agree. Seeing that negotiations failed, the pastor turned and walked away, only to be called back by the doctor's wife. She gently caressed the pastor's cheek, threatening him that if their husbands didn't return home, they would cling to the pastor, making him fulfill their husband's duties every day. The pastor was startled when he heard about the daily requirement of handing over 1 pound of material. He exclaimed, "What? Handing over so much? Isn't that risking my life?" Realizing the gravity of the situation, he immediately complied. The very next day, the pastor ensured that the two men boarded the train back home. The wives personally greeted them at the station, tightly holding onto their arms, afraid they might escape again. In this country, men hating on women. The doctor came home, feeling bewildered. His wife cooked up a lavish feast, setting the stage for a romantic night. Just the two of them. She seductively reclined on the bed, but the doctor remained unfazed, devoting himself to devouring a juicy steak and sipping on red wine. The doctor prepared to sleep. His wife tenderly leaned in. The doctor kept evading, and ended up falling off the bed. Relentless, his wife persisted. So the doctor resorted to hiding under the bed. In her anger, she flipped the mattress, forcing the doctor to emerge. With no other option, he jumped out the window, making his escape from his furious wife. Meanwhile, on the other side, poor Ryder had it even worse than the doctor. He escaped from home to avoid his wife, hastily boarding the subway. But little did he know, more trouble awaited him. If the train car is packed with ladies, would guys be thrilled? As Ryder hopped onto the train, he found himself surrounded by a car brimming with women, all of them eyeing him eagerly, some even starting to drool. Ryder became the sacrificial lamb. Women swarmed to him, showering him with attention. Ryder griped, blaming his damn good looks that made women go weak wherever he went. Panicked, he swiftly leaped off the train and escaped, only to stumble upon the dock inside the subway. The two brothers in distress escaped once more. They sought a place void of any women. The duo embarked on a country road, fleeing from their homes. And then another dude joined their journey. Yet another runaway man. He tagged along too. The men in this country are going crazy. They can't stand women. They're all leaving home together. And soon, more and more men are joining their ranks. They strutted along the railroad tracks, unfazed as the train rolled in from behind. But to everyone's disbelief, the train gradually stopped, and even the conductor stepped down, joining their crew. The men on the train also started getting off. Men, oh men, there were hundreds of them. They loosened their ties, tossed away their briefcases, ignoring their wives' attempts to stop them. They left their wives behind and followed the crowd. Leaving together, they continued walking along the railroad tracks. Men kept jumping off the platforms, ignoring their wives' pleas to stay, resolutely joining the runaway group. Their ranks kept growing, expanding until every man in this small country came along. They trekked through forests and wilds, coming to a halt near a little hill. A guy stepped up, questioning, "Do we press on? What about grub, drinks, and rest?" Right then, two tractors rolled in, laden with eats. This team is massive. All men who have abandoned their wives. They want nothing to do with women. Men in this country all aspire to be bachelors, unable to bear the burden of their wives' demands. The men band together and run away from home. The group grows larger day by day. They settled down on the grassy plain, ignited a campfire, indulging in a succulent roasted lamb, savoring exquisite wines, creating a realm of blissful manhood. While strolling, they belted out tunes, gleefully grooving to the beat, embracing a life free from spousal chains. Meanwhile, the wives, deprived of their husbands, joined forces, establishing the Women's Nation, to retrieve their beloved partners. They formed an army, the Sisterhood Army. Oh boy, a tank just rolled in, blocking the path of the men. But look at that, a courageous doctor climbed right on top. And whoa, the tank starts moving and rumbling, causing all those guys to scatter in panic. Will they be able to escape? Oh boy, in this country, men can't stand women. The ladies, driving tanks, followed the doctors and Ryder. On a mission to collect sperm from the men, they ran tirelessly, with the tank in pursuit, for 3 days and nights, never faltering. But poor Ryder, weakened by hunger, admitted he couldn't run any longer. His strength gone asunder, he chose to surrender, calling it a day, opting to face the women, whatever may come his way. More tanks swiftly arrived, as the Sisterhood Army surrounded them near a pond. As the women laid eyes on the men, their mouths began to salivate, eager to make them fulfill their masculine duties. With no escape route in sight, the doctors and women engaged in negotiation, allowing them a brief rest to rejuvenate their exhausted bodies. However, seeking excitement, the women decided to grant the men a day to continue their escape, if they may. Into the woods they fled, both famished to the extreme, knowing their stamina would soon cease. And there, before them, they spotted two men indulging in a feast, who, upon seeing the doctor's plight, kindly invited them to join without a fight. The doctors approached cautiously, but succumbed to the temptation of the food, devouring each bite, their hunger subdued. These two men had women swooning, by the thousands as they enjoyed their meal. Suddenly, a cage descended from the sky, ensnaring them within its grasp, followed by wave after wave of women rushing in with excitement. They firmly seized Ryder, no matter how the doctor tried to rescue him. And guess what? The two men in front took off their masks, revealing themselves as women disguised as men. Those women sure are crafty. The doctor and Ryder were captured and brought back to the women's nation, where they were taken directly to a luxurious hospital. There, they were provided with various nutrients to enhance their bodies and make their lovemaking more potent, leading to a series of wild and passionate encounters. Women from all over the country flocked in, rushing towards the men in a frenzy, transforming them into instruments of release. Around the clock, 24 hours a day, they repeated unspeakable acts, pushing their bodies to the brink of exhaustion. 6 months went by, and when the two finally managed to escape, they had become elderly men with white hair. The doctor kept a constant watch through his binoculars, scanning for any potential appearance of women, and all of a sudden, the doctor spotted a woman. But Ryder insisted it wasn't her. To be on the safe side, the two of them decided to make their escape. They boarded their homemade glider and took to the sky, evading women for eternity. The end. The movie is titled Calmos. Now, let's dive into a question. The director of this film sure has an impressive creative vision. If we were to rate it on a scale of 100, what score would you assign to the director? Don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section. This movie is absolutely captivating. Alright, that wraps up today's content. Remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Until next time, bye.